everyone. Today I am going to start the recorded video lectures for the subject CS 305 microprocessors and microcontrollers for S5 students based on the syllabus under KTU. So actually this is your syllabus. First of all, let us have an overview on the various modules of the syllabus. In the first module itself, we will be learning the basic concepts of microprocessors, and we are going to study a specific microprocessor which is 8086. The basic information regarding this 8086 processor, that is based on its architecture, the various modes of operation in which it is able to work and all. The details regarding these aspects and all will be covered in the first module. On the second module, we will be going on to the deeper side of this 8086 processor, that is, with the help of this 8086 processor, how we can do programming, how we can write a specific programming for this 8086 processor to do a specific task. So based on that particular aspect, we'll go on to the detail of this particular processor in the second module, that is, how we can write programs for this 8086 processor to do a specific task. In the third and fourth module, we will be studying the various interfacing devices or the various external devices which can be connected with this 8086 processor to do some additional tasks. In order to perform some additional operations or in order to perform some additional tasks, we need to connect some external devices with this 8086 processor. So what are these external devices that is helping 8086 processor to do some additional tasks? So about that particular things we will be studying in the third and fourth module. In fifth and sixth module, we will be studying about microcontrollers. Actually, our subject name is microprocessor and microcontroller. So in the first four modules, we will be focusing on microprocessor, and in the fifth and sixth module, we will be studying on microcontrollers. So in the fifth module, we will be studying some basic concepts regarding microprocessor. The general information regarding microcontrollers will be studied in the fifth module. And here also we are going to focus on a specific microcontroller which is 8051. The details about this 8051 microcontroller will be studied in the fifth module. In the sixth module, we will be studying on how we can write programs for a particular microcontroller in order to do some specific task. Okay, so this is actually an overview on the various modules of your syllabus. Okay, so now let us start with the first module. So the thing I want to tell you in the initial stage itself, actually in the first module, the first topic which is given in your first module syllabus is evolution of microprocessor. But before going to that particular topic which is actually given in your syllabus, I want you to be aware on the various basic concepts which is lying behind this microprocessor before going on to the details of how it evolved and what is actually the microprocessor and all. Okay, so I need you to be aware on what is actually a processor or what is actually a microprocessor. So far, you might be knowing that a computer is actually a very important device which is helpful for us in order to perform very complicated and very tough tasks or very tough operations in a very limited amount of time. It is very much supportive device for us in many applications. Okay, so the thing is that the brain of the computer is actually the CPU itself. The CPU itself is doing every main task or every main operations or every main actions whatever is assigned to this computer. The CPU is this rectangular box whose another name is the computer tower. Okay, CPU is also called as a computer tower. So this rectangular box is called as the CPU, which itself is called as the brain of the computer, which is responsible for performing various tasks whatever is assigned to it. But the thing is that whatever subunits or whatever subcomponents which is present within this rectangular box, within this large rectangular box, is not going to do the entire processing operations whatever we assign for them. The thing is that, see, please look at this figure. This figure shows the inner subcomponents which is actually present within the CPU box. Okay, there are many components which is actually present within this. In this, there is a very important subcomponent or there is a very important subunit which is present within this CPU box, that is a motherboard. Hope it is visible for you. So this motherboard is also having various other subunits. I will be showing you this image of motherboard explicitly in the coming slides. Okay, so please be aware that the motherboard is a very important device or very important component which is present within this rectangular box, which is called as a CPU. Okay, the motherboard itself is having a small chip which is called as microprocessor. Hope it is visible, that small square shaped slot. Okay, so it is called as a microprocessor. So this microprocessor alone, that small chip which is present within the motherboard of the large rectangular box which is called as a CPU, is alone responsible for performing the processing function. Don't think that the subcomponents whatever is present within this large rectangular box is going to do the processing function. It simply supports this microprocessor. Okay, the processor needs a support in various instances in order to do the performing or in order to do the processing operations and all. So such types of support, otherwise such types of help will be provided by the rest of the components whatever is present within this rectangular box. Okay. Next, this is the figures. These are the figures of various microprocessors. Okay, so this one is the first microprocessor which was invented, that is 4004. 4004 is actually the first microprocessor that was invented so far. Okay, so this is an embedded version of this 4004, a much designed fabricated version of this 4004. Okay, and these are the other microprocessors. But the thing is that these processors was invented by various manufacturers. Okay, so the manufacturers who are claiming to invent such microprocessors are Intel, Motorola, Texas, etc. So there are various companies who manufacture such processors. Okay, so these are the various examples of such microprocessor. So the processors which are manufactured by Intel are shown in these figures. Simply be aware on such concepts. Okay, actually these things are not included in your syllabus, but the thing is that I need you to be aware on the basic concepts. As far as you are computer science engineers, you need to have a basic concept on what is a processor, how it look like, where it is embedded within the CPU, what is actually a processor, whether the components whatever is present within the CPU box is doing the processing function and all. I need you to be aware on such concepts, okay, because you are computer science engineers. So these are the various processors which are manufactured by the Intel company. Okay, so actually this is a motherboard. I showed you one figure in the first slide and all. Okay, so this is the actual representation of your motherboard, and this is where your microprocessor is placed. The processor is actually present in the corresponding person's hand. Okay, he's going to place it in the corresponding slot. Okay, so this is a slot which accommodates a microprocessor. So the processor is going to be placed in this particular slot in the motherboard. Okay, this is also a pictorial representation which helps you to define the motherboard. Okay, the motherboard is having connections to various subcomponents which is actually present within the CPU, and here this is the slot where you're going to place the microprocessor. Okay, this is the slot where you're going to place the microprocessor. Hope you have understood. So the thing is that the microprocessor is a small chip, small IC chip, which is responsible for performing the various complicated tasks within a fraction amount of time. And don't think that whatever components which is present in that rectangular boxes is going to perform the entire complicated task. Only this microprocessor, that is a small IC chip which is embedded within the motherboard, is alone going to perform such complicated tasks within a fraction amount of time. So in this particular video, I will be dealing with how you can define a microprocessor, how can you be aware on the various concepts regarding a microprocessor, such as what is a microcomputer, okay, what are the various parts within a computer, that is central processing unit, what are the various subunits which is present within the central processing unit, what is a memory unit, okay, what is a multiprocessor system, what is a microcontroller, how can you differentiate a microprocessor and a microcontroller, and also we will be studying on its evolution and all. Okay, so these are the various things that I am going to tell you in this particular video. Okay, so let me tell you in the first slide itself, that the microprocessor is one of the most important components of a digital computer. So from all those things that I told you so far, you might have understood that the processor or the CPU is a microprocessor alone. Okay, the microprocessor alone, which is present within the motherboard of the CPU box, is alone going to do the complicated task. So hence we can say that this microprocessor is the most important component of a digital computer. It can also be called as the brain of the computer. You know why it is called so. Okay, as technology has progressed, the microprocessor have become faster, smaller, and capable of doing more than one task or many tasks per clock cycle. Okay, that is, we know, as I told you earlier, 4004 was the first microprocessor that was invented in the year 1972 something. Okay, so that particular microprocessor was just 4-bit. Okay, 4-bit microprocessor means it was able to execute only 4 bits of instructions per clock cycle. So what do you mean by clock cycle, or otherwise clock speed, or otherwise clock rate? So clock cycle means the number of instructions or otherwise the number of operations that can be executed per second is called as a clock cycle. Okay, so as technology has progressed, more and more number of processors are being invented, and as the time goes on, or as the years have passed, the processors have become more faster, more smaller, or more user friendly, or more compatible, and these processors are capable of doing more and more number of operations per clock cycle. Okay, and actually we can anyhow define this microprocessor as mu p, because micro is having a denoted symbol as mu, and you can call it as mu p also. Okay, so how can you define a microprocessor? It is actually the controlling unit or the CPU of a microcomputer, which is fabricated in a very small chip capable of performing arithmetic and logic operations and communicating with the external devices which is connected to it. Okay, so that is what I have explained you so far. It is a controlling unit, or otherwise microprocessor itself can be called as the CPU of a computer. Microcomputer means the computer which is having microprocessor as the CPU is called as a microcomputer. So microprocessor is a controlling unit or the CPU of a microcomputer. How it is fabricated? In a very small chip. As I have told you, as I have shown you various images in the previous slides and all. Okay, it is fabricated as a very small chip. So what are the various purposes of this microprocessor? It is capable of performing various operations. It can be various arithmetic and logical operations, and not only that, they are capable of communicating with the external devices. That is, they are capable of communicating not only with the programmer, whoever is standing outside, but also with some external devices which is interfaced or which is connected to it. Okay, so this is actually the basic definition of microprocessor. So please have a simple view on this computer. This is actually the block diagram of a digital computer. Okay, so you are quite aware on this particular block diagram. You are having a CPU which is actually the brain of the computer, and this CPU is a microprocessor itself. Okay, in the left hand side, you are having the input unit. In the right hand side, you are having the output unit, and you are having the memory in the bottom portion. Okay, the thing is that whatever input is given by the user, it is taken by the processor. Okay, all those informations that requires a memory storage is simply transferred to the memory, and it is being saved, or it is otherwise maintained in the memory for a longer period. Okay, at the time of execution and all, such information are taken from the memory, and then processing is carried out in the CPU. Okay, and whatever result or whatever outcome has to be displayed, it is given to the output unit. Okay, so that is actually happening here. So simply this is representing a block diagram of a digital computer. Okay, so from this, how can you define the various actions of a digital computer, or what are the various operations which are generally carried out within a computer? If they are asking you one such question, how can you define what are the various operations which are carried out in a computer? First of all, the users will be giving a program to the computer. Okay, you know, if I'm asking you to write the program for finding out the factorial of a number. Okay, you know that this computer, although they are capable of doing many complicated tasks within a fraction amount of time, they are not having a brain, or they are not having logic concepts of their own. Okay, we have to explain, or otherwise we have to inform them from A to Z whatever they have to do at each and every instant of time. Okay, so the thing is that in terms of programs, that is in terms of various instructions, you know what is a program and what are instructions. Okay, your program will definitely consist of a specific amount or a specific number of instructions. Okay, so such programs have to be written to this computer. Okay, only based on that program the processor or the otherwise the computer will be able to work. Okay, so the input unit, what does it do? The input through this particular input unit, the user will be feeding the programs for doing a specific task. For example, in this particular aspect, I told you if I want to find out the factorial of a specific number, first of all itself I will be writing a program. Okay, I will be writing a program in terms of various instructions and then feeding it through the input unit to the computer. Okay, so this particular program will directly be accepted by the microprocessor, otherwise the CPU. Okay, so if the execution of that particular program need not be done currently, that particular program will be simply transferred to the memory. Okay, it will be stored in the memory for a specific amount of time. Okay, so whenever the user asks the processor, otherwise asks the computer to perform or execute the particular program in order to get the output for a specific number, that is I want to find the factorial of 75. Okay, so if the particular programmer or the user who is standing outside is asking the computer or is asking the CPU to find the factorial of 75, at that time the processor will be taking the program from the memory. Okay, then he will be executing the program in this processor, that is in this particular unit which is called as a CPU. Okay, and after that he will be finding out the result, whatever is the factorial of 75, and then through the output unit he will be displaying the result, and not only that he will be maintaining the result in the memory also. Okay, so this is actually which is happening, or these are the various steps you can say if you are asked to write the actions or what are the various operations which is carried out within a computer. So the thing is that the processor itself is going to do the main processing task whatever is directed by the programmer which is standing outside. But the thing is that they doesn't have a memory, or they doesn't have a brain of its own. Whatever they have to do from A to Z, we have to say to them, or we have to specify, we have to explain to them in terms of various instructions, that is called as a program. Okay. So next we can look on to what are the various components of a computer. Actually, a computer is having an input unit, output unit, memory unit and central processing unit. Okay, as I told you earlier, memory unit, input unit, output unit and CPU. Now let us look on to the various subunits which is present within the CPU. Okay, there are various subunits which is actually present within the CPU. So before going on to the subunits which is present within CPU, let me tell you what is CPU. So I told you the CPU is nothing other than the microprocessor itself. It is the heart of the computer. Okay, it is called as a heart of the computer because it is not only the brain of the computer, it is also called as the heart of the computer because it is responsible for doing the complicated or the more effective tasks. Okay, the more complicated or more larger task or more time consuming task within a fraction amount of time. It's going to process it in very shorter amount of time. Okay, overall procedures or overall operations which requires much more time if it is done by the human beings, this particular program or otherwise this particular operation will be carried out by the computer within a small amount of time. Okay, so hence it is called as heart of the computer and also it is called as the brain of the computer. It not only fetches the instructions and data from the peripheral devices and performs all the arithmetic and logical operations, but also it controls the overall operations whatever is carried out in the computer. Okay, and not only that, I told you the CPU not only executes or otherwise not only performs all the arithmetic and logical operations, but also communicates with us. Okay, in a user friendly manner on whatever we have to do or whatever they have to perform. Okay, the various subunits which is present within the CPU are the timing and control unit is there, arithmetic and logic unit is there, and registers are also available. Okay, so let us look on to the details of each and every subunit which is present within the CPU. First of all, we can have a look on arithmetic and logic unit. So as the name implies itself, they are responsible for performing the various arithmetic and logical operations. As you know, the various arithmetic operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, increment operation, decrement operation, etc. and all. The various logical operations are AND, OR, XOR, XNOR, etc. Okay, so such kinds of all the operations will be carried out within the subunit of this CPU, which is ALU. Okay, so next one is the timing and control unit. Okay, the timing and control unit controls the entire operations which is performed by the system. That is, the overall operations which is carried out within this computer need to be controlled by someone. Okay, so the timing and control unit, I told you the CPU itself is responsible for controlling the overall operations whatever is to be carried out by the computer. So the timing and control unit which is present within this CPU is responsible for controlling such operations. Okay, so don't think that a single operation is being carried out by the computer in a particular instant of time. More than one operations can be carried out. Okay, so there need to be there is a quite important requirement of someone who is able to control or coordinate such kinds of operations whatever is carried out by the system. Okay, so timing and control unit is a main subunit which is present within CPU, which is responsible for controlling and coordinating the overall actions and operations whatever is carried out within the systems. Okay, it controls the operations of arithmetic and logic unit. Okay, input and output devices and memory unit. The thing is that this timing and control unit not only controls the overall operations, it controls the input unit, arithmetic and logic unit, output unit, how to access memory or how to access the data which is present within the memory. Okay, everything is controlled by this timing and control unit. Okay, and not only that, this unit interprets the instructions. Okay, and generate various timing and control signals. See, I want to tell you one thing. In order to inform or otherwise in order to give notification for various units on what all procedures they have to perform at each instant of time, they will be generating the corresponding signals. Okay, so the timing and control unit is responsible for controlling the overall operations that I have told you earlier. But the thing is that in order to control the overall operations, by the various units whatever is present in this particular figure, that is input unit, output unit, ALU, memory, likewise and all. Okay, whatever they have to perform, how this timing and control unit will be controlling them with the help of various signals. The timing and control signals whatever is generated by this timing and control unit will be helpful for all the units which is present outside and all. Okay, in order to get in order to be informed on whatever operations they have to do. So with the help of these timing and control signals only, the input unit, output unit, memory, ALU, etc. Can be informed, or otherwise will be getting awareness on what all things they have to do, or otherwise this timing and control unit simply generates or simply issues the timing and control signals which will be helpful for such units to perform their task. Okay, so that is what is happening in this CPU. Okay, so these are the various units that I told you. ALU, timing and control unit is there, and the last one which I have to tell you is that regarding registers. What is a register? Okay, so registers are small storage module itself. Actually, they are very fast computer memory which are used to execute programs and operations very efficiently. Okay, so they are actually computer memory. The thing I have to tell you in this particular instance is that the processor or the microprocessor is not having a memory of its own. Okay, other than registers, they are having registers which is implemented together with it, but the thing is that they are not having some additional memory along with it. Okay, if you want to have some additional memory, otherwise if you want to store large amount of data, then you need to interface some external memory together with it. Okay, other than registers, they are not having any sort of memory with it. Okay, so registers are very fast computer memory which is present within this microprocessor, but don't say that the processor is having memory of its own. Register cannot be considered as a memory. To very little extent possible only we can store some amount of information within the registers. It cannot be explicitly considered as a memory. Okay, only certain sort of information can be stored in such registers. Okay, they can be used in order to store instructions, addresses or any kind of data at various instance of time. Okay, so this is all about CPU. So I told you first of all itself what is CPU, what is actually carried out by CPU, and why it is called as the heart as well as brain of the computer. What are the various subunits which is present within the CPU which is helpful for it in order to perform various processing operations and all. Okay, so that is all about CPU. Now let us look on to this memory. I told you the processor, that is a microprocessor, is not having memory of its own. Okay, it is having registers which is inbuilt within it, but the thing is that it cannot be considered as a memory because it is not having much enough storage. Only a reasonable amount of storage is available in this registers. Okay, so the thing is that we need to interface some external memory together with this microprocessor in order to store something. Okay, so for that purpose we are using this memory. Okay, it stores the program statements as well as the data and the information supplied from the input unit. I told you earlier itself, if you want to perform any specific task with the help of a computer, okay, first of all itself you have to write the program corresponding to it. I told you that my computer is not having a brain or a logic concept of its own. So the thing is that the user, the programmer himself has to write some sort of program for what particular purpose he is going to make the computer execute that particular operation. He has to write the corresponding program. Okay, then he has to give it to the corresponding CPU. The CPU will be maintaining that particular program in the memory. Okay, so the memory will be holding, or he will be storing the program statements or instructions which is required for the further execution of the program. Okay, for the execution of that particular process. And not only that, he will be storing the final output. I told you whenever the execution is being carried out, that corresponding program will be retrieved from the memory by the CPU and the execution will be carried out in the CPU. Okay, so after finding out the result is also maintained in the memory and the result will be also displayed in the output unit. Okay, don't think that the result will not be maintained in the memory, it will be directly displayed in the output unit. Don't think like that. Whatever operations has been carried out with the help of the program, the processor will be maintaining the result in the memory also, and then a copy of that particular result will be displayed to the user through some output unit. Okay, not only that, the CPU processes the information as taken from the memory and performs the operations in this ALU. Okay, that is almost clear. Okay, so whatever information or whatever data or whatever instructions or whatever program or whatever final output or result, whatever you want to store, it is actually stored or maintained in this memory. Okay, only a very short amount of information or otherwise a short amount of data only is stored in this register, and you cannot say register as an explicit memory which is available within CPU. Okay, the thing is that the processor is not having any memory of its own. Okay, it is having registers with them, it is actually a memory itself, but the thing is that due to its short amount of size or short amount of capacity, the registers cannot be considered as an explicit memory. Okay, it is simply having some capability alone. Okay, so in order to store program or otherwise in order to store the data or information or the output result, whatever the processor is being executing or providing or producing and all, it has to be stored in the memory itself. Okay, hope it is clear. So these are the various things or various components which is present within a computer. So they are what are the various components which is present in a computer? There are actually four main components which is present within the block diagram of a computer. They are input unit, the CPU, output unit and memory. Okay, so I told you what is the actual operations or what are the various steps which is being undergone during the execution of a program or otherwise during the operation which is carried out by the computer. Okay, and what are the various components which is present within the CPU which is helping the CPU to perform the corresponding task. Okay, you need to be simply aware on what is actually happening. So the thing is that the CPU is the microprocessor itself. Okay, so the thing is that all those components which is present here can be simply called as a microcomputer. Okay, if CPU is a microprocessor itself, then the computer can be called as a microcomputer. So now we are going to look on to what is a microcomputer. Okay, so I told you what is a microcomputer. It is a digital computer in which one microprocessor has been provided to act as a CPU. Okay, if you are having a microprocessor as a CPU, then it is called as a microcomputer. Okay, if you want to find out the examples of microcomputer, a desktop computer is a microcomputer, laptop, notebook, then palm top, etc. They are all microcomputers itself. You have to note one thing is that only a single microprocessor will be there in order to perform the entire operation. More than one microprocessors won't be there. Whatever operation you want to carry out with the help of a microcomputer, it will be done with the help of a single microcomputer. That particular point you need to be aware on. Okay, there will be a single processor which acts as a CPU in a microcomputer. Don't think that more than one processors can be embedded in a microcomputer. Only a single, only one microprocessor will be there which is acting as a CPU in order to do whatever operations that is assigned to this particular microcomputer. Okay. It is a general synonym with personal computer. That means the microcomputer is almost similar to personal computer itself. Okay, so hope you have understood what is a microcomputer. The thing is that a microcomputer is a digital computer which is having a single microprocessor which acts as a CPU. Okay, and which is that in which that particular microprocessor is alone going to do the entire task. Okay, so this is actually the block diagram which shows a microcomputer. Okay, microcomputer is having a single microprocessor which is shown in the middle side. Okay, the input unit is there which is responsible for accepting the input data whatever is given by the user which is standing outside. Okay, and the microprocessor will be maintaining all sorts of programs, instructions and information in the memory. Okay, at the time of execution the same information will be collected or retrieved from the memory and it will be executed by the microprocessor, and not only that, whatever result has to be maintained, it will be stored in the memory also, and whatever result has to be displayed, it will be displayed through the output unit. So this is actually the block diagram of a digital microcomputer. Okay, hope it is clear. Then what is a multiprocessor system? I told you what is a microcomputer. A microcomputer is a digital computer which is having a single microprocessor which acts as a CPU which is responsible for doing the entire operations whatever is assigned to it. Then what is a multiprocessor system? Okay, the multiprocessor system is a large powerful digital computer system which consists of more than one microprocessor. Okay, so here more than one microprocessor will be used, and these combined or these cooperative set of microprocessor can be called as a CPU. So for what purpose we are using such combined set of microprocessors or more than one number of microprocessor? Because we need to do some more complicated tasks. Okay, we doesn't want to constrain or we doesn't want to restrict our operation within a single set of microprocessor. We need to perform some complicated task, much more amount of task or much more number of tasks within a very small limited amount of time. Okay, so in that particular aspect, a single microprocessor won't be enough for us. We need to use more than one microprocessor. Okay, so in that particular aspect we will be embedding, or otherwise we will be using more than one microprocessor in our digital computer, and such a system which is having more than one microprocessor embedded in the motherboard of the digital computer is called as a multiprocessor system. Okay, high-end powerful servers, mainframe computers, supercomputers, etc. are all having more than one microprocessor which is acting as a CPU. Okay, so I hope you understood what is a multiprocessor. Okay, and what is a microcomputer. Microcomputer is a computer which is having only a single microprocessor acting as a CPU which is responsible for performing every operations. Okay, but on the other hand, the multiprocessor system, okay, as the name implies itself, we are having more than one microprocessor. Because why we are using more than one processor? Because we find that single microprocessor is not quite enough for us for a specific application to do much complicated or much more number of tasks. So at that particular instant, we will be using the concept of more than one microprocessor in our motherboard so that we can perform a large number of tasks within a small amount of time. Okay, so such type of systems are called as multiprocessor systems. So this is actually a pictorial representation of a multiprocessor system. So as the figure implies itself, it is clear to you there are more than one processor. Okay, and the processors are having their own subunits present within it. Okay, and they are connected with the help of bus and all. You know what is bus? Bus is actually a communication channel. Okay, it is having the same meaning as that of a physical interpretation. That is, what is actually bus in the general concept? In the day-to-day application, what is actually a bus? It is simply a vehicle which is useful for us in order to travel from one place to another. So likewise here also the bus is a communication channel which helps us to transfer something. Okay, so what is the actual thing that we are going to transfer with the help of a bus? On that basis we can classify the various categories of buses. That is, they are having various types of buses. Okay, so these types of buses are actually explained based on what are the things that we are going to use this bus for. Okay, that I will tell you in the later classes and all, but simply you have to be aware in this particular context that you are having different processors in this particular multiprocessor system. Each and every processor having their own set of subunits, but these processors and the memory as well as IO devices are all connected with the help of buses. Okay, the buses are the communication channel which helps us to link between each other, and also which is helpful for us to transfer some sort of information or some sort of data, whatever it is, okay, from one unit to another. Okay, so with the help of this bus we are able to interface, or otherwise we are able to connect these microprocessors. Okay, there are n number of processors. We can connect these n number of processors with the memory as well as IO devices. Okay, so hope it is clear. So next one, it is microcontrollers. Okay, so I told you your subject mainly focuses on two concepts, microprocessor and microcontroller. So simply in this first video itself, you might be thinking on what is the difference between this microprocessor and microcontroller. What is actually microcontroller? The thing is that microcontroller is a highly integrated chip that contains all the components such as CPU, RAM, ROM, IO ports, etc., timers, etc., and all. The thing is that in this particular context, I want to tell you one thing, that microprocessor is not having a memory, IO provision, or some other things of its own. Okay, whatever it has to perform, the corresponding units, or otherwise the corresponding support has to be provided from the external support itself. Okay, see this particular figure itself, I told you the microprocessor is actually an independent unit. Okay, it is not having a memory or IO provision of its own. Okay, whatever is provided to it, it will be doing, or it will be performing the execution operation, or otherwise it will be doing the processing operation. Okay, it doesn't have any memory of its own, it is not having an IO provision of its own, it is not having a timer or counter provision of its own. Okay, whatever it has to perform, it needs the support of some external units that is present just outside it. Okay, that is, input unit has to be, otherwise input device has to be provided externally, output unit has to be provided externally, as well as memory also has to be provided externally, and also some other external devices can also be connected, like timers, counters, control units, likewise, and all. Okay, so such devices has to be connected externally to this microprocessor, then only the microprocessor can perform their own task. It is not having the memory or IO provision, input output provision of its own. Okay, everything is not present within this microprocessor. So in that particular context, you can differentiate with microcontroller. That is, microcontroller, okay, it is actually trying to avoid the drawback of this microprocessor, that is, it is a highly integrated chip which is consisting of everything, okay, that is required for the processing of a particular operation. What all things is required, what all subunits are required, okay, every subunits or every subcomponents will be present within this microprocessor. That is, not only processor will be there, okay, the memory, RAM as well as ROM, input output provision, timers, counters, etc., etc., like what all things are required, what all subunits are required for the processing, for the normal processing of the operation, all those subunits will be present within this microcontroller. Okay, please don't tell that microcontroller is a device which controls a microprocessor. Okay, this is a regular answer which is answered by various students when such type of questions are asked for Viva and all. Okay, don't say that microcontroller is a device which is used for controlling a microprocessor. It is actually a thing highly developed or highly designed integrated chip which is responsible for performing the operations. But the thing is that unlike microprocessor, they are having processor, not only processor, memory provision, IO provision, chip, etc. of their own. So the thing is that in the case of microcontroller, you need not interface memory or IO devices externally, okay, because it is having everything of its own. Okay, only if you want to do some additional highly qualified or otherwise highly featured task, very complicated or highly featured task if you want to perform, you need to connect some external memory and all. Otherwise a definite amount of memory, a specific average amount of memory is already inbuilt within this microcontroller itself. Okay, and not only that, you want to find out one another difference between this microprocessor and microcontroller is that the microprocessor can be used in order to perform any number of tasks. Okay, the microprocessor, a single microprocessor will be helpful for you in order to perform any task. Okay, the only thing is that whatever task you want to perform with the help of this microprocessor, simply you have to write the corresponding program to it. Okay, if you want to find the factorial of a number, simply write the program and then feed it to the processor. If you want to find the largest of n numbers, simply write the program correspondingly and then feed it to the same processor. Okay, so the thing is that the same processor can be helpful for us in order to perform any task. The only thing is that the corresponding programs need to be fed into that corresponding processor. But the thing in the case of microcontroller is that each and every microcontroller is designed only for a specific task. That is, if you want to find the factorial of a number with the help of a microcontroller, then you have to design a microcontroller explicitly for that particular purpose. That is, that particular microcontroller will find the factorial of a number only. That same microcontroller cannot be used in order to perform some other functions. Okay, so the microcontrollers are designed only for a specific task. That same microcontrollers cannot be used in order to perform some other task, irrespective of whatever programs you write. Okay, so that is a main difference between microprocessor and microcontroller. So this figure which is shown below is actually the IC chip which is representing 8051 microcontroller. Okay, so 8051 microcontroller is specific category of microcontroller. Okay, it's a microcontroller that we are going to study in the 5th and 6th module, which is already included in your syllabus. Okay, so simply it is a pictorial representation of 8051 microcontroller. So the thing is that this 8051 microcontroller is having within it not only the processor, the memory and IO provision, whatever is required for the normal operation. Okay, so this figure simply defines a difference between a processor and a microcontroller. Okay, in this particular thing, the microprocessor, okay, the microprocessor is simply having the various subunits which is present in the microprocessor, that is control unit, ALU, registers, etc. and all, timing and control unit, that's all. Okay, it is not having a memory or IO device of its own. Whatever memory or otherwise whatever IO provision it wants, it needs to be connected externally. But on the other hand, in the case of microcontroller, okay, the microcontroller is not having a processor, is not only having a processor, memory, not only a single category of memory, ROM as well as RAM is there, the timers, counters, okay, that is these two units are actually required for the smooth and normal functioning of a processor or a controller, okay, in order to control the various operations which is carried out by that device. Okay, so these devices and all, what all specific units is actually required or is normally required for the smooth functioning of a particular task. Okay, such units will be available in this particular microcontroller. Okay, you need not depend or you need not seek the support of some other devices externally. Everything is there in this particular microcontroller itself. Okay, not only that, to a very far extent possible, if you are going to do some additional complicated high scale task, okay, very large scale task if you want to perform, then sometimes you need to connect some memory externally. Other than that, it is quite enough to use this subunits which is present in the microcontroller in order to do the specific task. Okay, so hope you have understood. So from all those we have studied so far, what all we can conclude? What is actually a microprocessor? The central processing unit which is built on a single IC is called as a microprocessor. Okay, it is a digital electronic component with miniaturized transistors on a single semiconductor IC chip. Okay, you know this IC chips are designed actually with the help of various transistors and all. Okay, so simple IC chip itself is a microprocessor. Okay, so you know what is actually a multiprocessor system? That is, one or more microprocessor typically serve as a central processing unit, which is a computer system in a computer system. Okay, and that's all. And a microprocessor not only large scale industry, okay, which is capable of performing a very large number of functions which is carried out by the CPU. So these are the various points that we have concluded so far, okay, from the slides that we have studied earlier. Okay, so simply understand one thing, that microprocessor is a very important device or subcomponent which is present within the computer, which is actually called as the brain or otherwise heart of the computer, capable of performing any complicated task within a fraction amount of time. The only thing is that whatever task or whatever operation they have to perform, the corresponding programs, okay, the set of instructions which is called as the programs need to be fed into the processor. The processor will be simply executing such programs and then providing corresponding result in the output device. Okay, hope it is clear to you.